This is the Coach John Walsh pregame show with John Piper and Rick Threlkill, only on the Denton Geyer Football Radio Network.
Good evening, Coach, and thanks for sitting down with us again this week. Big win on Friday night, and wow, was it a shootout. Nice to be 1-0, but it sure wasn't easy. First off, I know you had some guys banged up, so can you give us a little insight on the injury report? And second, the celebrations are over. What did you see in the film room this week?
Yeah, so the injury report is not bleak, but it's not great for the immediate. We have Jaden Fugett's elbow did dislocate, but it didn't break or tear anything. So he'll be back by district play. Mahon, poor guy, can't catch a break ever, but he's just got a sprained ankle and nothing broke. He'll be back maybe next week, but probably district play. And then Blaine Smith's not practicing this week, but he'll be back for game time Saturday. And everybody else is back. You know, we add Trace Jewell, so we're kind of trading, one starting safety for the other. Seth played quite a bit of safety. We're going to try to stay away from that a little bit, but I think he proved he's a really good safety too. We're going to let Zion Settles play some because he's done well at the scrimmage, and then he did well when he went in there tonight. So.
Yeah, we both noticed at the game, Zion, some of your other, I wouldn't call them role players, but all 11 really stepped up, made a difference.
And it's key at this early. You don't want to get anybody banged up, but it's great to see, guys like Zion having to go in and play crucial minutes, and because you never know later on when you're going to want them, and these reps will pay off later.
Yeah, I just about to add that. 10 games in, all of a sudden you lose somebody.
Oh, yeah.
This time you really do lose them. It's nice to have somebody that's had those game reps.
Well, I tell you, usually you give those guys game reps when you're in control of games, and there's no pressure on those guys.
Right.
So, there were guys in there with pressure on them. Their last drive, a senior by the name of Jackson Norton was in there on the D-line, and I can promise you, when he put that helmet on in that game, in that locker room, he had no idea he would see the field. And then he was thrown in there on the last drive when they had to go score to try to beat us.
Critical. Yeah. Well, listen, you told us last week that Aledo might have the best group of skill guys that you'd seen all year.
Yep.
Well, this Cedar Hill team might have the best roster athletically top to bottom that you see for the rest of the year. So tell us about Cedar Hill.
Yeah, Cedar Hill, man. We've probably played them, I guess, since JW was here, 2010. We started playing those guys, and it's always a roster full of Division I players. They got the whole gamut. They have the size, they got the speed, size at linebackers. They look the part, and they play the part right now. They lost. I think if you look at the box score of the Allen game, I think the final score they might have lost by 17 points or so, but it was a one-score game going into the fourth quarter, and you watch the video, and it's a good football team they got out there, and it's a Region 1 team that'll be in that tournament that we'll see each other again.
Coach, last year hanging with this team the entire first half, your Geyer Wildcats ended up losing a tough one, 14-0. Are we still on a revenge tour? Is this team displaying a lot of confidence in practice to get the Longhorns this week?
I wouldn't call it a revenge tour, but it's good to reference some things that happened last year because there's some, it's the same program you play, so it's the same schemes, and kids are funny. They get motivated for different reasons, and absolutely, the Cotton Bowl, everything was bad about the Cotton Bowl. It was raining. We didn't start till late, didn't leave till late, and like you said, lost the ball game. So we want to get to that venue and have a great day, and I think 10 o'clock is going to start that day.
Yeah, last year I was about halfway to the Cotton Bowl, and I kept listening to the weather reports and looking on Twitter and everything, and it ended up being a miserable night,
Yeah, there was nothing. Nothing went right our way. We played good defense that night, and we had plenty of opportunities to get back in the ball game, and just couldn't get it going.
Last week it was Jace McClellan, right? We talked about that. They had a ton of great players, but it starts and ends with 9.
Right.
Had to stop him. Does Cedar Hill have a guy that it starts and finishes with stopping?
I think offensively it's probably going to be their quarterback, I would say. When you throw the ball 47 times, they're putting a lot of trust in you and a lot of faith in you. And I don't watch that side of the ball as much as Coach Ramsey does. I'm too busy on the other side of the ball. But we did talk today a little bit and said that when he got pressured, he broke contain and made some of their biggest plays, which is always scary. The one I know about is Quinn Bright, number 1. He's everybody, all the college guys talk about the speed he brings to the game, and I think he's one of those 0 to 60 guys, from the jump. So he'll be knowing where number one is going to be critical.
Is he one of those guys you're going to see him at running back, slot, outside, kick return, punt return, everywhere?
Yeah, I think so. Like I said, I'm one of those head coaches that doesn't study that side of the ball very good, but I think that's what Derek says. They do it. Matter of fact, his quote was, "They're pretty creative how they get where they put him and how they give him the ball."
We understand the Bustles will be departing the field house right here at 0:30, which is known as 5:30 a.m. Do you think the 10 a.m. kickoff is going to be a big factor in the outcome on Saturday?
If it's a factor for the outcome, it's going to be in our favor because we've been we kind of planned for this in June. We practiced real early, week one, just to get our kids acclimated to doing football when they're usually sleeping, and then we picked up 2 more days of we've been practicing at 6 a.m. meaning on the field, already stretching and rolling. So I think we tried to outcoach that part of it, have our kids acclimated to 10 o'clock start, and I think our kids have been real receptive and been coachable on understanding why we're doing that.
The only difference I think that might be, real as opposed to just mental, is the Cotton Bowl is a grass surface. Right. We don't play on grass that often, but having been out on it last year and walked on it, it's an amazing turf. So you don't see any issues there.
No, if we were over in Hazel's grass field, I'd be worried, but it's immaculate. It's very nice.
Yeah. Couple questions about last week, and then we'll move on. We saw a lot of big plays against Aledo last week for sure. So, it was clear from the beginning that Aledo was playing a lot of man press. They were sending a lot of bodies at you. I think that they sort of looked at things like, we can't really stop them, so we're going to try to create a few turnovers. This week, Cedar Hill, better athletes up and down the lineup. They match up probably better, probably take fewer chances. You'll probably see a lot more zone look. You think the offensive game plan look a little bit different this week?
Yeah, it's puzzling because, last year they do play a quarter halves, meaning it's pretty much man-man, and then they got a zone to the field. They could do that because those 4 guys up front, 3 of them are playing college football right now. So they didn't have to worry about getting much pressure, and they were going to take care of the run. But, I think we match up really well with them up front right now. Not to the advantage we had last week, but still I think we have an advantage up there. So it's kind of a chess game right now on trying to figure out, are they going to stay too high, and let us hand the ball off to number one, or are they going to change their coverages? So we've had the game plan for the too high, which is different, and then we have to have our plan B if they do try to load the box. So it's been a challenge, but luckily we had a long week. And the kids are in the right spots right now, so we got a good plan.
You think people are going to continue to be stubborn and try to cover Metter one-on-one?
The smart ones don't. Last year in South Lake, they doubled him the whole time, and Lake Ridge tried to put 2 on him. So if people want to keep doing it, I'll still call his number because we can throw 4 of them, and 2 is going to turn into 14 points.
Absolutely.
Coach, your Stars really stepped up last week, had big games. Eli certainly has matured. Seth Metter, we were just talking about, showed his world-class speed. Kadrick behind Briggsy and that big offensive line that we've talked about each and every week just kept pounding away at Aledo the whole night, created separation, and they really just couldn't stop your offensive unit.
Yeah, and you talked about the Stars. The offensive line made it all happen. When you can just run the ball like we were doing, and then, Eli never had to reset his feet to throw a ball, I don't believe. I think everything that came out of every ball that came out of his hand, a couple he threw away that he had to get out of there, but they were the stars of the game. They made it all real easy. They made it easy for a play caller to just kind of work down that script and call whatever you want to and keep them off balance.
As we were breaking down from the game, post-game show, the Aledo crew was kind enough to come over. They have a full production radio show that goes out, I think they said, all the way to Abilene Christian out that way. They mentioned the difference in the game was the offensive line, the line of scrimmage. Right. So they saw it as well.
Yeah, there's no question. Those guys set the tempo all night and from start to finish.
It was clear to us that you had that full playbook of run plays. We went outside, we went inside, we were collapsing the edge on them. It was really good to see those guys, and you got blocking from everywhere. But literally there was some holes that John and I could have run through. And those guys, you had it nailed it. They don't get enough credit.
No. Well, you say that, and then I've never all 24 years, I've never finished. We've won some big games around here, and I never look down the field at the end of the game and see cameras interviewing my big guys. So they got a little prima donna love at the end of the game. So good for them.
You also had big contributions, including TDs from Travis Romar, B.J. Phillips, and a clutch catch from Canham Threlkill to keep the chains moving on that final TD drive. How important is it in the game plan to have all 11 contribute, or really all 22 at any given time?
Absolutely. And we've talked about that in practice. Seth's going to get his. Number one, and Eli going to get theirs. Guys like BJ and Ty Aldridge, and you're talking about Cam. You go back to our last playoff game that last year. I think Cam was a leading receiver for us. So everybody's got to play a part. I didn't get. We tried to get DeLeon involved. Not many know about him or seen him. The kid can play some football. So we're going to make it a point that I get a ball in his hand pretty early. So we need all these guys, because you never know when Seth's playing defense, trying to tackle Jace all night. If he's out for a little while, those guys are the ones having to be the number one target.
It was good to see Brandon back out there last week. I know he was hurt for the scrimmage, but you're right. It's guys like that, and I've been in the program, so long, having been lucky enough to have another son play a while ago. You see kids like that that are B team players that are on the second group, and they just keep working, and all of a sudden they blossom. They end up being guys that really help out on Friday night.
No question. We have a list. I got it on my computer. I've got a list of kids that were freshman B teamers that were all district players or started in title games, and it's fun having the stars, but those are the good stories you get to talk about.
Especially with the injuries and some of the things they're going to play in to the heavy schedule that you have in front of you.
Well, let's talk about defense for a second. So, for the record, and since we have a bird's eye view, I can attest to it firsthand. Those dudes in black and orange last week, they were for real, right? I mean, also know we were out, our top safety. We got dinged up a bunch early on, too. But you got to be a little concerned with the tackling. We did not do a good job tackling in open field. Yeah,
again, I don't watch much of that film, just having full trust in what goes on that side of the ball. But from the naked eye, I did say we could have been better tacklers. And I think if I do watch it, I could probably pinpoint maybe 4 tackles that were made, and we probably get them off the field. And you get a team like that in a 3-score game, and then they may get a little impatient, because they're that offensive coordinator was a very patient play caller and does a good job. But yeah, and I think a big part of it was that front limping off so early. I mean, we had an ankle early. I mean, there's one time when the sun was still out, I remember Dotun walking by me, Jaden walking by me, and Mahon walking by me, and all limping. So we're just like any other program. Our depth is not. We don't have a lot of depth. So if you're going to play a team like the number 25 team in the nation for USA Today, you better have all your guns ready to go. And some of our guns took some blows early.
One of the things that we noticed up top was that McClellan was great, and they got those frisbee catching dogs outside, jumping everywhere. But the quarterback was just if he wasn't the most accurate quarterback I've seen in high school football, he certainly is going to be in that argument. And the ball comes out quick, which obviously that negates putting any pressure. So, I mean, a lot of times, I don't care if you're all-American, all-world, everything out there, trying to tackle those guys out in space when the ball is on time in rhythm.
Yeah.
And then dadgum, if he wouldn't run out of there and quick decisions and slide, he ain't crazy either. He was just a really smart, maybe one of the smartest signal callers we faced.
Will face. I mean, he's a third-generation state champion. 3-year starter, 31-1.
Wow.
And I still think the kid, I don't know where he's going to play college, but I think the short quarterback stigma is gone with the Kylers and the Bakers doing their thing. But the kid can play some football.
Oh, he's got a rocket, too. I don't care what side. Camden was joking, saying that he said, Dad, he's even shorter than I am.
Right.
But I don't care how tall he is. He's got a cannon, too.
He can play ball.
Coach, in spite of the 57 points that Aledo scored, the tackling woes that we just talked about, the defense played hard and they hung in there every step of the way and made big plays when it counted. Sometimes the way Texas high school offenses are built, that's all you can hope for. Were you pleased with the way they hung in there to the final whistle blew and the game was in hand?
I mentioned this on the way home I ride back and forth with Guy Earl, and I mentioned this to him. One of the most pleasing things of the whole night is because you have nights or years where the offense carries the defense, defense carries the offense, or you have games like that. And inevitably, as a coach, you're having